Yo, hey, it's me. Hey, come on over here. Hey, how you doing? Oh my gosh, I am. This it's been a long day. So it's been a while since I've been online here, hanging out with the folks here. Lots happened, I guess. Since last time I was on was Christmas Eve. Make sure I have my drink with me. Yeah, I think I brought my drink up. There it is. Um, yeah. So it's been crazy. Let's get it out of the way. I am not anywhere near the LA fires for myself, thank goodness. I have not been close to them. I don't actually have any people that I know really well that were affected by it. I do know a couple people through like Facebook that were affected by the fires. Obviously, I mean it is such a disaster. I mean, I don't have any like more insight into like what's going on over there. Where I'm at, we're luckily all our folks down here. We've had a couple little wildfires down where I live, but they've been taken care of like really quickly. Like there was one fire that got started, and it was put out like in 10 minutes. Like they were on it. A lot of the folks do a lot of city stuff, and a lot of the firemen that are local firemen have been moved to LA to fight the fires, and obviously other folks coming to move into our area to kind of fill in the gaps, but we're not as immediately dangerous. So obviously, like I mean, the whole tragedy is just like it's just sad, and it's just heartbreaking to think about. And I mean, it's going to be a long, grinding road to recovery on as far as that's concerned. And I mean, it remains to be seen what's going to really happen with all that. So that's wanted to get that out of the way. I know it's a little bit of a somber note, but we can talk about other things, movies, stuff that's been happening. Otherwise, let me grab a quick drink. Say hi in the chat. Say Rigel 7 was already used. What's shaking, Johnny? Hopefully we won't have that. Hopefully we won't have earthquakes. No shaking. There we go. There it comes up there. Cool. What else? Oh, so if you saw the thumbnail, I finished my latest painting a couple days ago, which is Jeff Goldblum and the Temple of Doom. That's what I was going for with this particular painting. It's not as big as it looks. It's an 11 by 14. But I know it looks massive when I hold it like that. That's forced perspective there, people. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. I think I put it on my Facebook feed and didn't get a lot of likes. I think I might have freaked people out with this particular painting. I don't know. I think I did okay with Jeff Goldblum's expression on that. And I've discovered a way of handling doing the kind of portraiture painting that I like to do. And I find that my process now I've discovered is using X's AI, Grok. Grok is really good at creating celebrity images. So I use Grok in order to create my reference photos. Thank you, Cinematic the Film Buff. So I use Grok to create my reference photos, and I use Photoshop to kind of correct them. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll have Grok create the pose that I want, or as close to the pose as I want, and it may not get the face just right, so I'll just Photoshop in the proper face. I did that with a what's her name, Selma Kayak. So I did a Selma Kayak photo or painting. That was the one I finished right before the Jeff Goldblum Temple of Doom. I can show it to you. It was on my Facebook. And let's see if I can pull it up here. Rolling back. There it is. I can pop that on screen for you. So that's my Selma Kayak painting. And Grok didn't do as great of work with as good as face as I wanted. So I ended up doing like photoshopping for the reference the face. There you go. So that's my Selma Kayak painting. Come back to me there. The other ones I finished were I did The last time I streamed was on Christmas Eve. I was working on a importance of being earnest painting, and I'll show you the final version of that. Get rid of my bookmark bar so you don't see all my bookmarks. There we go. So this is my this is the importance of being earnest. There's Ernest P. Worrell. So that was my importance of being earnest one, and I'll show you the one I did after that was Silence of the Yams. Silence of the Yams? I feel like I'm on a game show. Silence of the Yams. Whoops. Do that. There you go. Silence of the Yams. He's holding, yeah. I did, you know, when I made this, when I first came up with the when I first came up with this idea of Silence of the Yams, I wanted to be a little more like lighthearted, but it ended up being kind of dark because the yams started looking like a liver, and so I put the bottles of Chianti and some. Well, I mean they're beans. I don't know if they're fava beans, but they're close enough to beans. So he's got liver and but it looks like, I mean, it's a yam. It's supposed to be a yam. So anyhow, those are the 3 paintings I've been working on. I don't know what my next one might be. It might be I might do a Cider House Rules, which I've kind of wanted to do. I've had in my mind for a while. And Cider House Rules is Tobey Maguire with like paint on his face, the CH for Cider House, and he's like cheering at a baseball game or maybe a soccer game. Cider House Rules! And behind him is the other actor in that movie, Michael Caine. Michael Caine looking like teary-eyed as he's watching him going like, Cider House rules. Cider House does indeed rule. All right, on the other front, so I've been doing my paintings. I've also been working pretty hard on getting my front yard and backyard into shape. I'll show you my backyard progress. So I am building, so I left the studio that I was in last, June? July? Something like that. And I got this idea that I wanted to build a little studio in my backyard. And also I'll show you a picture of where we're at with the backyard situation here. Here is my backyard from my, oops, click over there. Here's the backyard for scale. You can see kind of where everything is. So the design of the studio is this little area in the bottom right corner will be my editing bay. If you can see my mouse there, I'm kind of highlighting this there. This will be like an editing bay. This is where my computer, and I'll probably do the live streams from here once this is finished. Behind, I'll have like a little server, like closet room for some storage for cameras and stuff like that. And this little door leads to the back here, so it'll be a little door. So actually so the wall was kind of right where the man is standing here. This is probably where the wall will be, dividing the storage kind of server room and the edit room. And then this rest of the area will be kind of an open studio space that I'll be able to shoot experiments and other stuff and be able to do stuff in this big giant room. And this will be kind of all empty. I'm trying to leave it open. So the process right now is it took literally like, oh my gosh, it took a long time to get up and running. So let me just go ahead and share this on my Facebook. Why not? Hold on one second. So I moved out of my office, I want to say June-ish, July, right? I don't remember. Or was it August? Something like that. But anyhow, so I started the process of trying to design this studio. It took a long time. And, well, the design didn't take that long. What took a long time was the city permitting process. The city permitting process took another, I gotta say, 4 or 5 months. It took forever for the city, and part of it was like, oh, we lost your application. It got slipped between the cracks. It's like, come on. You know, I dealing with cities right now, I feel like a lot of things, it's like, oh yeah, we meant to get to that, but it slipped in between the cracks of the folders. It got lost in the folder. So anyhow, finally got the permit like in hand last. Well, no, at the end of December. So I finally got the permit at the end of December. They came out, started doing the foundation. So they dug up the foundation, which you see obviously here. And now I'm waiting till Tuesday for the city to come out and inspect the foundation before we can pour the concrete. Pour the concrete, and it'll probably be another week or two while the concrete dries before they'll start actually doing the walls. And that will be, I mean, I think once the walls start going up, it's a fairly quick process. It just goes bing, 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 bing. Like it doesn't take that long. So I mean, they said the whole thing probably from start to finish maybe like a 6 weeks. I'm guessing because we had some pretty bad winds too, but we didn't have any fires here. But the winds kind of prevented them from working for like a day or two. So I did lose a day or two of that. Then we have this inspection, which was supposed to come on Monday, but Monday's a holiday, so they're coming on Tuesday, and it's just it just takes time. So I mean, I'm thinking maybe by the end of February, maybe March is when I'm going to start moving in. I do need to run obviously need to do the electrical. Once the buildings are up, once the walls are up, the roof is put on, need to do the electrical, then I need to do paint, then I need to do flooring, then I need to do run the internet to it because I've got conduit pipes to run internet cable. I'm probably going to run the my house internet, which is I'm on Frontier, into the house. Then probably run a cable back from the shed back to the house, so that will be able to feed through to my other devices. I use a Google Home, and I'll put my Google Home router in the shed. I mean, and I hate calling it a shed; it's the office. I'll put it in the office, and I'll run the cable back, and then hardwire it into probably go through Mocha through the internet through the Cat 5 cable, and run it to another home desk and send it all over the place. Hey Helium, what's going on? I'm just explaining to you guys what where we are at with the construction of the studio. And I know once the studio is built, I should be able to settle down a little more and think about actually making some filmmaker IQ videos again. I got some ideas. I mean, obviously it's going to be a little different take. I'm not going to do the kind of the same style videos. I'm probably going to break a little more free and be less like anchored to a desk. Although there probably will be segments that are going to be like desk anchored because it's just easier to work that way. But I think I want to kind of make more documentary style, just be a little more free form and be able to move around more. So maybe I'll probably use my backyard as a location for a lot of this stuff. Some ideas that I had, I kind of want to revisit this whole depth of field thing because I had an idea for a video called like the Zen of depth of field, because I feel like every time I get in a discussion with depth of field, I always feel like people, like I understand the way I understand depth of field is sort of like it all makes perfect sense. Like I don't need to memorize anything because it's like it's all there. And I think part of that is because I've messed with photography, with large format photography, and part of that's also because I've messed with magnifying glasses and pieces of paper. So like I feel like I have a very intuitive understanding of depth of field because I've taken a magnifying glass, I've taken a piece of paper, and I've tried to find where the exact focus is. Right. And once you get this kind of innate understanding of, okay, if I go further back, it's out of focus. I'll go further in. That's what focus means. There's only one point where it's focused. Right. And I can do that. So I can maybe create a thing. I'll maybe use like the depth of field, the ray tracing software I use for the anamorphic lens. And I will demonstrate how the focus goes from sharp to out of focus, right? And I can demonstrate that using like a series of lights and all that. Anyhow, so sort of a way of doing a like approaching it from a this is pure basic science, it makes perfect sense when you understand it from that perspective. And then when you extrapolate that now into, okay, now we're taking it just instead of a magnifying glass, now we're using a real lens. It's the same concept. It's the same exact concept. And then you can derive from that depth of field understanding of like different sensors and all that stuff, and blowing things up and shrinking things down. You understand things like what do you call it, hyperfocal distance, because you have this innate understanding of depth of field just from the very basic simple lens concept. The your favorite is the one I built, the Doug Trumbull style slit scans. Yeah, you know what? It would be fun to make something like that. The problem is nowadays, instead of building out a Lego, I have the ability to 3D print stuff. So honestly, if I were to redo that kind of style video, I would basically 3D print whatever it is I would need to make instead of making out of Legos. But stuff like I'm always open to doing more kind of practical production kind of things like that. I also was thinking about today. I've got an idea. Oh, there you go. You built a 4x5 sheet film camera from scratch. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's like I think if more people approached photography with like the 4x5 film camera kind of approach, or that's kind of like where you kind of really get a grasp of understanding how the principles of photography works. I think for a lot of people, the idea of just lens and put it on the camera, they don't understand that it's projecting an image onto this plane. And when you build like a 4x5 camera, or even if you work with a 4x5 camera, you see it. It makes sense. It's all there. So that's why I was kind of hoping the Zen of depth of field could be one of those things. You like to see a Filmmaker IQ video about RKO? Definitely would want to add those to my list. I mean, I have to approach it a little differently because I don't have my studio to shoot it in, but I could do something. We'll have to figure out how to do that. But I would love to revamp some of the idea of doing studio videos again. Like I really want to do what do you call it? United Artists. But it's just I'm hoping. Well, I don't know. See, I started teaching again. We started this week. So, I mean, I've been teaching continuously. I've been doing a class every week. But in the fall semester, they want me to teach a cinematography class, which would be like not an intro class. So right now I teach the intro to video production class, which is I give you guys a lot of film history. But, and actually it was kind of funny. One student in my class recognized me from Filmmaker IQ because he used my horror video in one of his research papers. But anyhow, I was thinking about trying to teach 2 classes in the fall. I don't know. I think probably wouldn't be smart I think it'd be smart to just stick to 1 class instead of trying to do 2, because fall tends to be my very, very busy period. I don't know. We'll see once the studio is built if it makes my life like calmer. Because right now my life feels like right now my life feels I'm finding my groove, but it's a trip. It's hard. It's really, really hard. Anyhow, so I think one thing I did want to mention too. I also have been working on my front yard. So I've been having them build my backyard, and in the front yard I've been doing stuff too. So here is my front yard. So this weekend I spent trenching and putting in pipes for my underwater drips. I'm going to do along this little section here. I'm going to do something called Carpet of Stars, the Ruchia something or another. I forget the name. It's a low-lying shrub. It's a low-lying succulent. It's a grass replacement, so it's sturdy. You can walk on it, but it takes a lot less water than grass, and you don't have to mow it, which I love. And then I've got this little area here, which I'm going to put a tree. I'm thinking a magnolia tree, just because I like the film, the studio magnolia pictures. So I want to do magnolia pictures, and then this whole area section. Otherwise, I'm doing rocks, and I'm going to do like a little rock river. So I've been doing this and exhausting myself. I worked about till 1:00, and I said I am not doing any more. I'm going to go eat lunch. I'm going to sit down for a little bit and recover, and then I want to get on the live stream and talk to all yous lovely peoples too. Junebug says, as long as you keep the film noir aesthetic of Filmmaker IQ, for the studios, they will always be a film noir. because that's the way I want them film noir. Those are I always imagine those stories as sort of film noir stories. So, but how I shoot them, because I won't necessarily have. I mean, I still have the desk. I have a desk, but I don't know if I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do the whole like background. I might do something different. I might do green screen. I don't know. I have to think about how I'm gonna do that, because or it could be a lot more of, or it could be I shoot it in the backyard, but in the dark, outside or something like that. I don't know. It's up in the air. It's how I'm gonna do that. But again, there's been a lot going on, and obviously, I'm spending a lot of money doing all this. I got, I'm not obviously paying out of pocket. I'm using a loan to get a lot of this work done. The front yard I am paying out of pocket, but it's like a couple $100 here, a couple $100 here for pipes and stuff like that. So it's not like the end of the world, but I got to make the money back. Like I got to make money back. So, I got to work on, I'm just hoping that, I don't know. I just hoping that once this shed is built, like I can have sort of more of an oasis approach. I can, wake up in the morning, make myself coffee, even though I don't drink coffee very often, but I can make myself coffee, go in the backyard and get to work. And then every once in a while, just take a step outside and go to my greenhouse, go mess around with my plants. And, that's the way I hope to be working here in the next few months. And I think that will make things a little bit less stressful. I hope it will make things a little less stressful. I don't know. It's been kind of, it's not, I mean, January started slow. It's not, honestly, hasn't been too stressful, but it has been kind of slow start. And it is picking back. It is picking up. I can feel it. Yeah. Today I ended up buying, so I was supposed to do a podcast for the city, and I have 4 of these microphones, these particular Shure microphones with these arms. I had 4 of them, and then they told me, oh yeah, there's going to be 3 guests and 2 hosts. Oh, I need 5. Well, I was like, well, they didn't tell me, so I got the van all packed up. I was like, well, they didn't tell me I was going to bring another mic and it'll be different, but whatever. And then like halfway there, and they said, well, we're going to have to cancel because today we're going to interview fire, police, and medical emergency people. And today's like the worst day because that was the middle of the LA fire. And at the time also an officer got in a hit and run accident, not hit and run, but like a traffic accident, was killed. So the sheriffs are also kind of going a little crazy with dealing with that. So we're going to cancel it. And I'm like, oh shoot. Well, I understand, it makes sense. You can't really, this is what it is with it. When you're trying to interview like police and fire, they got bigger fish to fry than podcasts. So, it was okay. And I was like, well, since I have the time, let me go ahead and just buy another microphone. So we have 5, and then I'll justify it as this is what I'll use for my podcasts. Cause I love the way these sound. I mean, these sound great, and I like the headphone one, but it just, I wanted something that was not headphoney. And then I can always get up and get out of here if I need to move, grab something and come back real quick. It's not have to be like weird. Anyhow. Paul McBride did smash that like button. Thank you so much. Even filmmaker IQ about pre-Hollywood and the Motion Picture Patent Association. Oh yeah, that would be an interesting one. That would take a lot of research. I just in my first day of class, I talk about the patent company, and basically I tell them the quick story of Hollywood up till about 1915. Or 19 something or another, when the patent company got busted by William Fox. So I get up to that start of the story. Then talk about television real quick, and I talk about like editing software and that, and then and then that's that one there. I should probably give these more of a catchy title for these videos. Let's see. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So catch up. So I did watch The Substance. What else did I see that I want to talk about? I mean, we talk about Wicked. I think we talked about Wicked last year. What are the movies that I see? Well, let's talk about the substance while I'm here. The substance. Okay. Oh my gosh. Nosferatu. Yeah, I saw that. Substance. Let's put that in there. Nosferatu. And let's go with one and and House 1977. Let's talk about those movies. Is it 77, I think? That's pretty good. Did I watch Squid Game 2? I didn't like the first one, so I'm not going to watch the second one. House 1977. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, The Substance. I think I need to go on movie because I didn't look anything else. I liked that movie, but I got a movie subscription on Amazon just so you can watch The Substance for free. And oh my gosh, that movie is got to me. First of all, if you have been hanging out with me long enough, you know that I am not a prude. In fact, I do like my women of the members of the opposite sex, and this movie was, and I hate the whole concept of male gaze, but it is the male gaze it personified. It is a lot of like hypersexualized imagery, which makes me like the movie. Okay. Like, it knows what I like, and I find, obviously I find Demi Moore and this is Demi Moore, right? Yeah. Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, both intoxicatingly beautiful. Margaret Qualley is definitely very, very, very pretty. I did not know that Margaret Qualley was Andie MacDowell's daughter. I mean, that makes perfect sense. But anyhow, so the movie hooks me into it with its unabashed kind of sexuality to it, and then it kills me with the body horror. So it's one of those things where it's for me, it worked in a way where the body horror, not the dichotomy, but the contrast between hypersexualized imagery and the body horror was enough to make me like revolted. Like I was having physical reactions to the body horror in the second half of the movie, because it probably because of the contrast to the beautiful eye candy in the first half of the movie. So I think a lot of people were saying about how a lot of reviews I've heard about basically talking about how dealing with societal expectations of women, in terms of beauty standards and all that. And I think I put it on Facebook, and one of my friends did comment on basically, there wasn't a whole lot of societal input. Now the character, so if you don't know what The Substance is, I'll just give you a quick breakdown. It's this woman who's sort of like a Jane Fonda character. She's a fitness guru. She does these aerobic videos. She's getting to be pretty old for the job, and she's got a boss who is one of the Quaids, right? The Substance. Dennis Quaid is her like boss, manager, producer, and he's like, he's kind of disgusting kind of guy, but honestly, he's a disgusting guy, but he's not Harvey Weinsteining. He's just a disgusting guy, and he's bringing all the dirty old men to go ogle the girls, but they're not really they're not Harvey Weinstein. They're not like doing anything. They're not quid pro quoing. They are definitely dirty old men, but then I kind of resemble that myself. So there's not that much in there as far as like the society pressure. What the pressure is not the society. It's the women. It's Demi Moore's character's own feeling of inadequacy. She's the one that won't retire, that won't accept her body changing, or won't, Maybe she should say, this is not my game anymore. I'm going to, quit and do something. No, she still wants to be hot and desired and loved. We love you, that kind of thing. She still wants that. So in essence, I mean, the movie so much, I think it can be argued more that it is more like Snow White and the Wicked Witch. Not to touch on another cultural hotbed here, but there's a lot of memes out there, right? Like every time you make a live action Snow White movie, the one they cast as the Wicked Witch is always prettier than the girl that they cast as Snow White. Like the Charlize Theron was considered prettier than Kristen Stewart. In the case of the most recent one, right? It's what's her name? Gal Gadot is prettier than Rachel Zegler. But I think there's a reason. I mean, people kind of look at that as sort of that's Hollywood doesn't know what they're doing. Why who's the fairest of them all? Like, no, the whole point is the wicked not the Wicked Witch, the evil queen is vain, right? She can't accept, even though she is probably prettier than Snow White, she can't accept that anybody else be prettier than her. So in any sense, the substance is sort of Demi Moore not accepting herself and instead demanding to be young again. And so it's basically she becomes a witch. She becomes the old hag in Snow White. So I think that's probably the more interesting way to read that movie. And then that last act is just off the wall bonkers, and it was very well. I really okay, so maybe also the fact that there was times I was taking care of my mom, and so you see a lot of old women body horror when you're taking care of someone who's got Alzheimer's. So it might have triggered a lot of that in me. So when I saw some of those those things happening, it made me kind of wench. Like I said, I think it's probably because of the whole I had the whole contrast to the amazing eye candy beauty kind of hypersexualized imagery then you hit you with the body horror stuff. It makes it even worse. It's one of those high contrast issue thingies. Anyhow, so I think that movie is really well done. Performances are really, really well done. Demi Moore got her Golden Globe from that. So that's obviously good. Let's see. Comment here. Junebug says, just to think the original movie Capital of America was New Jersey. Can a town called West Orange? Yeah. It's that's one of the things I was talking about in my class, how the movie Capital went from New York because New York was the movie capital. New Jersey, obviously, right next across the Hudson, to Hollywood, partly because the old theory is that they wanted to escape Edison's patents people, right? And you just because you moved to California doesn't mean Edison doesn't have his patent people in California too. But I think the other argument I heard was the ninth district, which is the district court in California. It's a little bit more lenient, not a little bit, but more lenient when it comes to those kind of things. And that's probably why one of the reasons why they moved to California. I think also probably because of the weather. And the other argument was also because it's close to Mexico, and if you got caught with Edison stuff, you could always just go across the border to Mexico, and you wouldn't have any issues, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, those are the reasons. So that was fun. The substance, I highly recommend that if you can bear the body horror, it's definitely worth a watch. If you are not a squeamish about nudity and you don't seem to mind, like me, you maybe think nudity is a good thing. Maybe you think nudity is a fun part of going to the movies. Then definitely check out The Substance. I can't wait to get canceled for that statement. Anyhow, Nosferatu. I also very much enjoyed Nosferatu. I think Nosferatu is Eggers' most uh, Robert Eggers' most accessible movie. Because I have a theory that Robert Eggers makes horror movies for the people that are living in the age that he's making them about. In other words, I think The Witch, is made for Puritans. I think Puritans that watch that movie would find it the absolute scariest movie they've ever seen. Most horrifying and just oh gosh awful darn scariest movie. Now we watch it from today's standards. Obviously, it's not that scary. It's just very well done. It's unsettling. It's well made. It's gripping and all that. But it's not like what we consider a classic horror movie. But a Puritan watching the movie would absolutely be terrified. They would think it's the scariest thing they've ever seen. I'm going to jump ahead. The Viking movie, The Northman. I think the audience for The Northman were Vikings. I think Vikings watch that movie would absolutely raise their helmets and those little. I know they didn't. I know they don't actually wore the little horn helmets, but I think a Viking would absolutely think that movie was the shit. I think Vikings would have loved that movie. The Lighthouse, I think, would have played very well in early colonial America. I think that was made for people that are from a Melville era kind of folks. I need to go back and watch the Lighthouse, but anyhow, those three movies I think are definitely aimed for the audiences that live those time periods. Nosferatu is different. I think Nosferatu is probably maybe because also maybe the fact is because the fact that it takes place in the mid to late 1800s, so it's maybe the most closest to our time period. Modern audiences, I think, can get into Nosferatu. I mean, Nosferatu is a slow movie. It is slow, but it is atmospheric, and it is creeping. I think it is one of those movies that you can't watch on your fucking iPhone, in the words of the great David Lynch. But it is it's well done. My nose is starting to scratch. So yeah, I think I don't have a whole lot more to say on that, other than I think the performances by as the Count. What's her name? What's his name? I don't remember. Count, not Dooku. Nosferatu. As Count Orlok, that's right. Bill Skarsgård is like the go-to Hollywood creepy actor. Nicholas Hoult, yeah, he was really good in that. Willem Dafoe is kind of like Willem Dafoe to Robert Eggers is sort of like Bill Murray to Wes Anderson. It's kind of a good luck charm. Lily Rose Depp was pretty good in it too. Yeah, you do see some Count Orlok penis, so just get ready for that. Exactly, Jack. Jack says he makes movies that feel like you're watching a person's nightmare from that time period. Totally agree with you. But I think Nosferatu is the closest to the most modern day. It still has a modern day. Like I said, maybe it's because we as a people are closer to that time period, so that particular nightmare doesn't feel far off. But to me, there's the most elements of modern sensibilities are in Nosferatu, more so than his other movies. I feel like Nosferatu just works in a modern sense, that in a way that the others don't quite work in that sense. I'm not saying that the others are not good. I'm just saying that they are just, he has this ability to kind of make films that are outside of our time, but I feel like Nosferatu feels the most inside our time. All right. The last one I want to talk about, I'll talk about more movies, obviously, but I just wanted to throw some more in the title so I get some more engagement, is House, 1977. Holy shit. This movie. I'll pull up a little. I'll pull up some stuff on it. I'll have to explain what this is because you probably never heard of this. Although, so House 1977 is a Japanese a movie made by Toho Studios. So it was like a studio movie, and it is the weirdest. It is the weirdest movie. My God, it's just so weird. It is on you can find it on HBO's House. Thank you very much, Jack. That is correct. House. You see a little bit of the trailer there. I mean, so there are some elements in this movie that are very beautifully shot. So this movie was on HBO's Criterion Collection. And I'm giving away all the secrets in this movie, and they're showing you all the skin in this movie too. Oh my goodness. So let's explain what's going on here. What is House? So it follows a doctor who has no, never mind, just kidding. How can I say it? Okay, so basically it starts off with these girls, this one girl who they call Gorgeous. That's her name in the movie. And she has to go, her dad remarries. Oh, how you doing, Bullet? You think you've seen House, Rigel 7? Sorry. Hey, Bullet, how you doing? I haven't been on it for a while, so it's been good to get you back on here. So this girl, her dad is a composer, and he's working in Italy. He comes back from Italy working with Sergio Leone. He's like, yeah, Leone thinks my music is better than Morricone. It's kind of silly. But anyhow, like her dad wants to remarry because he's been alone for like 8 years. So the girl's like not very happy about that. And so she decides that she is going to go hang out with her aunt in this house that's in the countryside. And just talk, because her mom's sister. And so she brings her friends, and her friends are called Fantasy, Melody, Sweet, what's the other one? Kung Fu. Literally, that's what she does. She's Kung Fu. And Mac, who they just make fun of her as being the girl that never can stop eating. And she's always so fat, even though she's like literally Japanese fat, which means it's like not fat. Anyhow, so they go to this house, and basically one by one the house starts to eat, or the aunt starts to eat every one of the girls. So it's like all the girls come to their deaths at this house. Now, to describe it as a horror movie is stretch. It is not really a horror movie. It is a absolute bonkers, like low budget. It's low budget, but there are parts of it that look like absolutely gorgeous. There are stuff that looks like Gone with the Wind because they shot in Toho Studios. And I mean, let me read for you a couple little tidbits of the history of it. Production. Following the success of American film Jaws, proposition came to Toho Film Studio and Nobuhiko Obayashi to develop a similar script. So anyhow, Nobu sought for the inspiration. Obayashi discussed ideas with his preteen daughter and sought her ideas, believing that only adults only think about things they understand. Everything. So he got his daughter to help him come up with the ideas for how these girls get like eaten in the movie, and it just becomes off the rails, right? It becomes so off the rails that. So I love this pre-production. The script of House was greenlit shortly after presented to Toho, but no directors at Toho were interested in directing the film as they felt it would end their careers. So my friends were talking, because we were talking, we do a bad movie night every Saturday, and we were saying, well, we should watch House. And then I saw, and then I didn't know if they were thinking about because they were questioning whether it should be a bad movie night. Is it a bad movie night, or is it just like a regular movie night movie? And then I saw it on HBO on a Criterion Collection, and I thought, well, it's Criterion Collection. It's got to be some like foreign film foo kind of, oh, you're watching Eat Your Vegetables kind of movie, right? So I start watching without the guys, and I'm like, this movie is an acid trip. This is absolutely bonkers. And then I had them come. I watched it, and I had them come over and I watched it again, so I got to see it twice. But yeah, it's absolutely bonkers. HBO Criterion Collection. Check it out. It's not like anything you've ever seen, and you'll be like, what the hell? There are elements actually of Russ Meyer's effect. I don't know if you've ever seen a Russ Meyer's movie like Super Vixen. Super Vixen's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. I watched Super Vixen because of Quentin Tarantino. I think it's Super Vixen, right? Super Vixen. Super Vixen. Yeah. Super Vixen because of Quentin Tarantino's book. And Quentin Tarantino has this whole chapter dedicated to this one scene inside the movie Super Vixen where it's a murder scene where Charles Napier murders Sherry Eubank in a bathtub, and it's brutal. It's strangely brutal, this particular scene. And so he just raves about it, and he's like, as soon as that scene's done, you don't have to watch really the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie's not really that good comparison. And it's Russ Meyer too, so it's movies full of just big breasts. But anyhow, the thing I noticed about Russ Meyer's movies is there's a constant flow of music. Like there's always some sort of music playing on there's no like time where the scenes just like sit. It's just music. And in essence, House has that little bit of that going on as well. Especially at the very beginning, the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie, I'm like, what am I watching? This is just terrible. But it takes a little while before it gets really, really going. And then it becomes off the walls bonkers. And I highly recommend you watch House. There it is. All right. It's a fun one to watch with friends. Absolutely. It's John's happening and it's freaking him out. Freaks him out. Oh yeah, baby. I had I went out to dinner with my friends. Last night we watched a movie called Your Hunter of the Future. You're the Hunter from the Future. Here, I'll show you the poster and all that from that. That's Your Hunter from the Future. We watched the Riff Tracks version, which, I kind of like mixed on using Riff Tracks because I kind of like to make our own Riff Tracks. I'd rather watch the movie in its unadulterated, glorious horribleness. But I do want to play for you. That brings me to another movie that I watched. I finally got around to watching, but I'll talk about it in a second. Your Hunter theme song, which is actually probably one of the best theme songs. I've been collecting good theme songs, right? And Your Hunter is like the best. Here it is. All right, so that's that song from Your. Have I seen Zardoz? Zardoz is on our list, but we don't know whether it's a good movie or it's a bad movie night movie. Because the bad movie night movie has to fit a very specific category of movies that are so bad that you can't stop making fun of them or something like that. But we don't know. I don't know if is Zardoz something that would be fit into something like a Your Hunter from the Future. I don't know. So the other one that the other theme song because I never saw this, was the Buckaroo Banzai theme song, and I think that one just slaps too. Like we watched that as a bad movie. That movie for me was a little too much, but the theme song does slap, and I'm definitely. I'm definitely going to be running afoul with the copyright YouTube thing. This video for playing this stuff for you, but this theme song does slap pretty hard. I do like it. I like how RoboCop just shows up in a Pee Wee Herman outfit. Bow, bow, bow. And then my favorite part is, wait for it, there he is, Jeff Goldblum in a cowboy outfit, which for no reason. Anyhow, Buckaroo Banzai theme song. So they've been collecting my theme songs, even though that does sound very much like the Peanuts theme. Do 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 do. And partly, Buckaroo Banzai was the inspiration for Jeff Goldblum's Temple of Doom. So, all right. I don't know if Sean Connery in a red jockstrap is a good or a bad thing. It's a good thing. I imagine so. You got to give the ladies something to, appreciate, right? I believe, I was a firm believer in the male gaze. I'm not talking about queer eye for the straight guy there. And a firm believer in the male gaze. I believe also you need to give the women something to latch onto too. And if you need to give them Sean Connery in a red jockstrap, then I say more power to you. The sun is entering the lower. You can see the sun blasting through my window. Let me go ahead and lower that shade, and we can continue on in a second. There we go. Oh, you can see my big old belly. Zardoz is very strange. It's a great director making terrible choices. That sounds like actually probably pretty good then. All right, so what else did we... Oh yeah, I watched for the first time Heavy Metal. I'd always heard about it, and I kind of was always just curious. I just never got around to doing it. Never really watched Heavy Metal. So if you don't know, Heavy Metal is actually an animated what do you call it? Anthology of different kind of stories, and it's very adult oriented, and I don't know, it I wasn't in love with it. Like some things kind of worked better than others. It just, I don't know. It just wasn't crazy about Heavy Metal. The fact of the matter is, I just don't like anthology movies. I just don't. Because the thing with anthology movies is you're going to like one of the stories better than the others. And you'll get through a really good one, and then you'll sit through another one like, this is not that good. And it's just like, there's no like progression with anthology movies. You always get that one that's really exciting and makes you interested, and then you have to sit through a bunch of slow ones. The Fifth Element takes a lot from Heavy Metal. So yeah, I was digging up the history of heavy metal, and basically, it's whether I like a movie or not, I like to look at the cultural history of it. And Heavy Metal is based on it was a magazine that when this guy was trying to bring National Lampoon to France, and he discovered this magazine in there called Heavy Metal in France. So he wanted to bring that back to the Western continents, Canada, because I think he's Canadian, Canada and America, United States. And so the producer of the movie is what's his name? The guy who produced Ghostbusters. Ivan Reitman? Is it Reitman? I'll make sure I got the right one. It is Reitman, right? I just got the stupid Buckaroo Banzai something in my head. Where is it? Yeah, Ivan Reitman. Okay, so Ivan Reitman produces Heavy Metal, the movie, based on the magazine, which was basically a like, it's kind of like Amazing Stories, but the more modern, more adult like drawings. And I was actually going through some of the animated some of the cartoons, not the cartoons, but the comics. Uh, I mean, I also understand that this particular magazine still is in existence and it still make new issues. So anyhow, that was heavy metal. Like I'm just not crazy about anthology movies, and I think some of it wasn't like just didn't quite jive. Some stories I was more interested in. Some were just I like the film noir one. Is Kindergarten Cop a good movie? I'm gonna let the chat. To me, it is because I grew up watching that. I totally grew up watching Kindergarten Cop. I can like it's not a Duma. That's my favorite line. Stuff like that. Kindergarten Cop has a very hokey kind of ending and premise, but definitely, yeah. South Park did the parody of heavy metal, but I think I saw the South Park parody before I saw the actual movie, the movie itself, heavy metal. But anyhow, it's just interesting in seeing heavy. Just interested in seeing what the hubbub was about, and as far as heavy metal. So I'm glad I watched it though. Now I'm always glad to see watch something that I've never seen before. But yeah, other than that, let's see what other things have I been watching. If I go on my HBO, let's see my Max account. Let's see if I remember other movies that I've been watching. So I've watched a fair handful of things, but those are the ones I really remember off the top of my head. Let's see. I like Twins with the V. I think I like Kindergarten Cop better than Twins. I liked Twins, but the funny thing about the ending of Twins is like he literally just kills the guy, and it's like, oh, that's cool. I might have to do a David Lynch. Speaking of David Lynch. We're looking at some of this stuff. I haven't seen The Straight Story. I really should watch The Straight Story. I think I'd be really into it. I should go back and rewatch like Blue Velvet. I think I probably should sit down and just watch Mulholland Drive again. Mulholland Drive is the movie that kind of made me want to make movies. So that's like my relationship with David Lynch is very much like he was the guy that kind of made me realize you could make movies. Like that was Mulholland Drive was my movie that made that switch for me, right? Like from being a movie fan to like actually wanting to make them was that movie. So I think it might be time to revisit that movie. Let's see. What else on here I was going to talk about? I tried watching a little bit of The Player, the movie called The Player, and I got about 10 minutes, or not, got about 5 minutes in, and there was a scene with these people talking back and forth, and I just couldn't do anymore. I couldn't do it. I was like, I'm out of here. I can't. My life is too short for this. So I couldn't do The Player. That's a Tim Robbins 1992 movie. Did I see Anora? I have not heard of Anora. Yeah, the Altman movie you're talking about, The Player. Yeah, I don't get into Altman. I just really don't get into Altman that much. I feel like, like I remember being excited about Gosford Park. I remember going and seeing it. I'm like, I don't care for this. Like his movies, I don't know. For me, they're too just slight, not fly on the wall kind of talky movies. And I just didn't. I think the only Altman movie I kind of like was MASH, and I'm not that crazy about it myself, but I thought that was pretty good. I did try to watch Watership Down because I read something interesting about it. And it just wasn't. I wasn't into that movie. Watership Down is a movie about rabbits that go off and start their own like commune kind of a thing. And maybe if I was in a different mood, I might get it, but I wasn't digging it that hard. Yeah, Altman's hit and miss for you too, Jack. Yeah, I don't know. It just something about it just. Well, I think the scene in The Player, it was just two people like being very annoying, back and forth talking, and it was just I couldn't take it. It was highly irritating for me. I just was really irritated by it. So That's why I just gave up on them. Like, I've got so many things I can watch. I'm just not going to watch that. Yeah, I mean, it's just I like to celebrate. I've never sat and watched all of Twin Peaks, so I should probably just do that. You know, Twin Peaks says Fire Walk with Me, but I don't know if there's the rest of the Twin Peaks is on here or not. Let me look at my Amazon account, Amazon Prime. See what else I've been watching on Amazon Prime. Watership Down is so dark. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because it's all about like capturing the women rabbits. Let's see. Oh, I did not talk about this. I need to put this into the thing. I not only watched, I rented and I paid good money for Megalopolis. Wow. Megalopolis. Wow. I totally forgot that I watched Megalopolis, but I just remembered it now because I just pulled up so I rented it on Amazon for $10. I spent $10 on Megalopolis, people. I think if you do like me enjoy dipping your toe into the world of like quote unquote bad cinema, and Megalopolis needs to be on your list of movies to watch. Megalopolis is a must-see movie. Because it is a lavish experience in just insanity. Is it bad? I don't know how to answer that question because I don't know if it's bad. Like in a traditional sense, if you're comparing it to any other movie if you were to compare it to any movie playing currently in the movie theater, yeah, it's very bad. But if you compare it to like the genre rot that I've been watching, movies like House 1977, which are just acid trip movies, it has Shia LaBeouf in it, which is Red Flag. Yeah. And Shia LaBeouf is playing an insane character in the movie. He cross dresses. He plays this kind of like this sort of like dark black sheep of the family kind of a thing. I don't know how to explain it. So if you are a fan of the Neil Breen movies, if you've watched Neil Breen movies, then Megalopolis is a Neil Breen movie if Neil Breen had talent. If Neil Breen had talent and vision and artistry, then the Megalopolis would be what he would create. It is an absolute train wreck of a movie. I think it needs to be watched. See, here's the thing. I tell my friends this too. We watch these genre movies and these like crazy acid trip movies, but we always watch them. We always watch them together, but we make fun of them and we sit and we laugh and we joke and we're talking and we're goofing on the movie and we're or what I'll do is people start clapping the movie and I'll start clapping. Like it's participatory. Like we treat every one of these bad movies like Rocky Horror Picture Show, right? So it's fucking fun. It's just a blast to hang out with friends, laugh and goof on a movie. It's a blast, right? Everyone should try to do that. I can't imagine. Yeah, like The Room, exactly, like The Room. But I think The Room is a better made movie than half the movies we watch, because the movies we watch are like Birdemic, and the other movie that the Birdemic guy made, and Neil Breen movies, and these weird genre movies. But anyhow, I can't imagine someone going and paying money to see Megalopolis in a theater and then not being able to make goof on the movie and to have the social pressure to sit there and treat it like a real like cinema. Like this, like, oh, this is cinema, folks. We need to shh, no talking. Be very quiet. Entitles me? Yes. Entitles me? Yes. Oh my gosh. And there's one part where Dustin Hoffman's like, this city made of glass, 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 and steel, steel, steel. Oh my gosh. And then I absolutely lost it. I absolutely lost it. I'm sorry if this is a spoiler. I mean, you need to watch Megalopolis. It is, but you need to watch Megalopolis and not treat it like a real movie. Treat it like, and then but do it with people. Don't try to watch it alone. I mean, you could take some substances. You could take the substance and then watch it with the younger version of yourself that claws out of your back. But you need to watch Megalopolis in a room full of people, but goofing on the movie. Like treat it like The Room. Treat it like a Rocky Horror Picture Show. Don't take it seriously, and it becomes this remarkable experience of just an insane amount of ego. Because the movie is just, like I said, we call it a Neil Breen, because if you ever watched a Neil Breen movie, in every Neil Breen movie, Neil Breen, who's the director and the writer and the actor, he's always like a Jesus figure. And he's always a Jesus figure that doesn't die for pure sin. He's misunderstood. He's a genius. He's the world's greatest hacker. He's a savior of mankind. In one movie, he's an alien force that like is all good and knowing, and he's there to judge people, the bankers, the CEOs, the government, the politicians, the accountants, right? He's there to always lay judgment on other people because he is so smart, he is so good, and he is so wise and so much better than you, right? That is Megalopolis, because it's all about Adam Driver, who's so smart. He's so much better than everyone else. He's the best. Do we know why? No. Does he demonstrate how smart? No, not really. But that's what Megalopolis. It's such a weird movie, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. It is a beautiful movie. Is he the president? No, he's just like, I don't even know. Like he's not even Elon Musk. Like Elon Musk has a hint of sarcasm to him. He's a Mary Sue. He's even more than Mary Sue. He's a savior. He's an absolute savior of the. I haven't seen The Brutalist. I don't even know what that is. Honestly, I've seen reference to it. I don't know what that movie is about. Anyhow, he's the world's greatest fluffer. Exactly. So Megalopolis is that. But it's actually a very beautiful movie. Like, and there's lots of beautiful imagery in it. There's some weird shit in it. My favorite scene, I think I can find it. I'll just show you a little bit of it. Let's see. Megalopolis. Let's see if I can find the line. Here it is. It's not very long, but it's my favorite line read of all of them. Here we go. I'm gonna show it to you. You're gonna love it.
What do you think of this boner I got? When you look at her.
Oh! So that's my favorite line now. What do you think of this boner I've got? Oh my God. I'm sorry I spoiled the ending of the movie for you, but now you know what do you think of this boner I've got? Oh God. Oh, that's my favorite. I mean, what movie can you name a movie in the last 20 years that has a line like, what do you think of this boner I've got? Anyhow. Somebody said Megalopolis. Yeah, I mean, definitely Megalopolis is a Neil Breen movie with a budget. Adam Driver does look a little like Breen. They could be cousins, I guess. I don't know. I kind of feel like I feel like I feel like Coppola's never seen a Neil Breen movie. I could be wrong, but maybe he has. Oh my gosh. Is that Aubrey Plaza? Yes, it is. Aubrey Plaza is in it as Wow Platinum. That's her name, Wow Platinum. WOW Platinum. And she's supposed to be like a money bunny, like that one girl from CNBC, Maria Bartiromo. So she marries in the movie she is like Adam Driver's mistress, but she gets tired of being his mistress, so she marries John Voight's character. John Voight at the very end, and John Voight, but then she's having an affair with Shia LaBeouf, and then John Voight's like getting tired of her shit, so she's like, "What do you think of my boner?" Oh my god! How does Francis Ford Coppola make such a thing? I don't know. I feel like it's remember that movie? What do you call Cinedoche in New York? Well, I think I told that story when I went to L.A. to see this movie called Cinedoche New York, and I get up there like one for Cinedoche New York, and the ticket clerk's like, "All right, here you go," and I go and I watch the movie, and it's Synecdoche. Synecdoche, New York. So anyhow, in the movie Synecdoche, New York, this guy gets given a MacArthur Genius Award, and as for being a screenwriter or for a playwright, and then he uses that money to create this like ultimate expression of a playwright's this amazing play, but it becomes this like this big old warehouse like play thing that's so it feels like everyone's been telling Francis Ford Coppola, "You're a genius. You're a genius, Francis. Everyone, you're an absolute genius. You're a legend, genius. You're a legend, Francis." And then no one was willing to say, maybe you shouldn't do that, Francis. Or, I mean, look, if you look up the history of Megalopolis, he was ready to shoot this in 2001. He was ready to shoot this, but the thing is, in the script, there's a Chinese satellite crashes into New York and destroys a building. And in 2001, something very similar happened, and so they had to stop filming it. But he's been cooking this idea up for like 24 years. It's been a while, well, longer than that. There's some great documentaries on YouTube about the making of Megalopolis. I'll give you like backstory behind like how did this happen, and my God. And do all the high-powered actors get roped into doing it? Didn't FSC tell Talia Shire to come out for it? Yeah, she's in it too. I mean, all the Coppola, I guess, Francis Ford Coppola is a family affair. So every Coppola shows up for the movie, right? But, I mean, I think for the actors, like, hey, Francis Ford Coppola wants you in a movie. Will you meet with Francis Ford Coppola? And the answer to that is yes, I will, because it's fucking Francis Ford Coppola. Of course I'm going to go have a meeting with Francis Ford Coppola. What actor wouldn't want that, So that is Megalopolis. Yeah, definitely. Oh, you got to watch Megalopolis. It is absolutely bonkers. Very in a way. There's a part in the movie, if you were in a certain screenings, there's a person, and you can actually see this. I'll show you. What the hell? We're already getting demonetized for this thing, for playing the Buckaroo Banzai theme. What's another? What are they gonna do? Megalopolis. Let's see. See, this is insane here. So there's
Catalina, you said that as we
a
jump into the future, we should do so unafraid. But what if when we do jump into the future, there is something to be afraid of?
So yeah, this a person from the theater is supposed to talk to Adam Driver.
Well, there's nothing to be afraid of if you love. an unstoppable force. It's unbreakable. It has no limits. It's within us, it's around us, and it stretches
I like this
beyond
kid
time.
right here. He's like, oh my God, what's happening?
It's nothing you can touch, yet it guides every decision that we make. But we do have the obligation to each other to ask questions of one another. What can we do? Is this society, is this way we're living, the only one that's available to us?
Anyhow.
And when we ask these questions, when there's a dialogue about them, that basically is a utopia.
Yeah, so that's part of the movie. Now the movie, obviously they don't like show it. They just have that reporter's voice dubbed in there. But anyhow, I feel sorry for those. I feel sorry for those people in the audience because they couldn't sit there and goof on the movie and laugh about it. Like they had to sit there for 2.5 hours. Like, oh, this is an interesting point you raised there, Francis Ford Coppola. I'd be like, oh. Why did these legends like Ridley Scott and Francis Ford Coppola start making bombs? I don't know. Maybe that's why Quentin Tarantino wants to stop at 10. Maybe he sees it like as sort of the reason. The more I think about it, the more it seems like Megalopolis is influenced by Breen. I know, right? It's literally a Breen movie. If you've seen Breen's movie, there's so many similarities the way his story is told. I think maybe what it is like this unchecked narcissism that comes from this kind of filmmaker. It's just the narcissistic tendencies. And when you get to that narcissism where it's no longer making a movie about trying to entertain people or trying to, or create emotions, when you're trying to preach, that these movies become this sort of, like they become sermons onto themselves. And then it's just a habit of being a sermon movie. Anyhow. So that's what I've been watching in the last, between that and working on my house and working on my backyard and front yard and all that stuff. And like right now I'm pretty in pain from working on my front yard, bending over. I'll probably do a little bit tomorrow because tomorrow is a holiday. So I have some free time before I get to work, which I got to do next week too. But yeah, no, it's that's what I've been doing, working on that stuff. So open up the floor to you guys. What are you guys chatting about? What's on your minds today? Oh yeah, by the way, if you haven't watched the Red Letter Media video, the latest Best of the Worst, it is a gold mine. It is really good. It's the one where they have that Arnold and Schwarzenegger. That one guy does the Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, and they just goof on the Arnold movie. Like that had me. I watched it twice. It had me in stitches. That guy. His Arnold impersonation is like my Arnold impersonation is like over modulated. Like, get to the chopper. Like, I just don't have that, but he can do it a very mild Austrian accent, which sounds very much like Arnie. I'll be honest. I am a Civilization. That's my game. That's one of my all-time favorite games. I've played every single Civilization game that's ever been released. Yes, that goes back to Civilization 1. I find all you children that have never played Civilization 1 to be pathetic. I remember playing Civilization 1 and having my battleship be defeated by a phalanx and being very, very pissed off that my battleship was defeated by a phalanx. So I've played every single Civilization, and I am very much looking forward to buying and playing Civilization 7. Even I don't care. I don't care what the people say. I'm just going to buy it. I'm not pre-ordering it, but I will buy it when it comes out in about 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. So yeah, I just mentioned that because on my feed I see Civilization videos because I've been watching a lot of Civilization 7 videos. I'm not very good at Civilization, but I just like those games. So people that ask me what kind of games do I like, there you go. Um, yeah, Civilization 7, the Megalopolis edition. There you go. Neil Breen, you have been charged to rule the civilization. Take it away from the bankers, the lawyers, the politicians. Every time I say that, I keep thinking like he's going to say it. He's going to say, and I'm not saying this in my opinion, he's going to say the Jews. Because I feel like that's what he's going to say. The politicians, the bankers, the oligarchies. He didn't say that. Anyhow, but yeah. All right, looking at all these other videos on here. You're playing Baldur's Gate while watching this. There you go. I gave one of my friends' wives my old computer so she could play Baldur's Gate. I have no idea what Baldur's Gate is other than that it's a RPG game revolving around Lord of the Rings, I guess. I don't know. I just don't. I mean, a couple of girls I've known, they have all said they liked Lord of the Rings. When I ask them like what's one of their favorite movies, and Lord of the Rings comes up a lot, which surprises me because I didn't think women liked Lord of the Rings that much. Although I think the women I've polled recently, Little Women is a movie that always comes up on a lot of the women I hang out with, their list of movies they love. But yeah, Lord of the Rings comes up often, and I'm just not that big a fan of Lord of the Rings, honestly. I mean, I liked it fine, but I've only seen it once, and I'll go back and if you said, John, come over our house and let's watch Lord of the Rings, I'm like, okay. I'm not against it, but I'm just never that crazy about it. Helium Road says, I like to play combat flight sims. Nice. I used to like that too. I just haven't played a whole lot of flight sim. I did get into Flight Sim 2020 during the pandemic. I'm not looking at the new version of Flight Sim. I just have to get my stick, my HOTAS, and pedals are in my storage unit. But I should, maybe once I get the shed built, I might pull them out and take a little flight time. I do have a friend of mine that is, I think he has a license, a private pilot's license. He keeps telling me I need to get a pilot's license, and I'm like, yeah, but it's like if to get the hours to get an actual private license is like at least $7,000 to $10,000 worth of fees and rentals and all that stuff, and $7,000 to $10,000 can fund quite a few short films. And I feel like I'd rather do that and just enjoy Flight Simulator for a while. Used to play meshing with Bato Sarah, a emulator for playing older gaming machines. That's cool. For Plianti, I used to play Path of Exile 2. Story is interesting that the bad guys all think that they are the good guys. There you go. Falcon 3.0 in the 90s. I remember those games. Falcon 3.0. When I first started getting my computer, when I first got a CD-ROM, because CD-ROMs were brand new in the mid 90s. There's this game called what do you call it? Remember those what do you call those planes? The F-18, the Nighthawk, camo. What do they call those things? The Nighthawk, right? It's the stealth fighter. Yeah, stealth fighter. There was a stealth fighter simulator that I rented because back then in the early CD-ROM days, they thought maybe we could rent video games, and I played that for a couple weekends, and I thought that was kind of neat. One of my favorite games when I was growing up with the CD-ROM back in those days was Seventh Guest. There it is. Yeah, F-117 Nighthawk. That's what I'm thinking of. But the Seventh Guest is a game that I used to play all the time. Oh, by Microprose. You knew that game then, huh? Yeah, that's right. Microprose did that game. But anyhow, let's talk about Seventh Guest. Because Seventh Guest was a game in high school. And freshman year in high school, my friends would come over Friday night. We'd play Seventh Guest. We'd play, and I had like a book that would like tell you how to beat it, basically. And so I played that like multiple times, played it over and over and over and over again, beating it, to the point where you beat it every time. And I remember when we first started before we started Filmmaker IQ, we were like on MySpace, and we were talking about like, hey, what are some cool ideas for games we could turn into movies? And I was like, we should turn The Seventh Guest into a movie. And I've always thought about that. Like, man, that would be a really good movie. And it's surprising that they've never made a movie out of it. But then I researched what happened to the game. So they made The Seventh Guest, made a boatload of money, made The 11th Hour, made pretty good money on that. I don't think it was as widely popular as Seventh Guest. I didn't care for The 11th Hour as much as I liked The Seventh Guest. Seventh Guest was the bomb. And then at that point, the two original guys that created the company became like just like ridiculously upset with each other for some reason. Like maybe they had different philosophies about how to approach the game, where to go on from there. And it just got super, super like antagonistic between the two people, the two owners of the company. The point where they would not talk, they would not be in the same building together at the same time. And so that's why there's never been a Seventh Guest movie, I think, because neither one will agree to let anybody have the rights, because there's so much animosity between the two. So I think that's why there is no Seventh Guest. Isn't Agatha Christie or Hercule Poirot movie with Seventh Guest? No, Seventh Guest came out considerably after. Seventh Guest is an original story. I mean, it has elements of a Poirot movie or Poirot story, or it's a very Agatha Christie kind of, but it's its own kind of its own piece of IP, I guess. Ooh, Secret Weapon of the Luftwaffe, Aces of the Pacific. I used to play Aces of the Pacific. Chuck Yeager's Air Combat. That's cool. Remember I played Microsoft Flight Simulator, Combat Flight Simulator with the War of the Pacific. I used to play a little bit of that. How about I remember some of we're talking about F 3.0, the Falcon 3.0. I remember like trying to learn about the tactics of air flight. The thing is, like, for me, like I never got really that good at it. So for me, it was just basically just chasing everybody. There wasn't a whole lot of strategy. Some more Jet Fighter 2, AV-88, Harrier Assault, World War I air combat game, which I can't remember. Microsoft Flight Simulator had in the early days of Flight Simulator, had the Sopwith Camel. Like I'm talking like pre 5.0, like 4 point something, when it was just like so blocky graphics, and you always took off from Meigs Field in Chicago, but there was this ability to like load into the Sopwith Camel and another thing. Anyhow. Getting into my game. So yeah, I'll be doing some Civ 7 when that comes out when is it coming out here? Civ 7 release date. I just don't know if I don't think I want to buy the Founders Edition for $130. I think that's just a little bit too much. Release date is February 11th, so we got a few more. So just in time for Valentine's Day, which is great because I don't have to worry about it Valentine's Day. At least I don't think I do. I don't know. I get Valentine's Day off this year because it happens on right before a veteran President's Day. So this college takes off the Friday before for President's Day, which happens to be Valentine's Day, which is really great because I don't have any real plans to do anything with anybody on Valentine's Day anyway. So whatever. Now I'll be playing Civ 7. We'll be hanging out with Cleopatra, yummy, and Catherine of Aragon. Who else was in it? Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was a weird choice, but I don't care. I'll buy the game anyway. All right. What else are you guys yakking on about? Oh, I should tell you. Okay. Oh my God. So if you want to get my naughty list, do this. pick a fight with me over semantics when you don't understand semantics. You don't understand the meaning of the words. I got so annoyed in this one comment that was left on my anamorphic video. I saw the video was called why are anamorphic bokeh oval? Yeah, why are the anamorphic bokeh oval? It's not the aperture. And his point was point of contention. The bokeh are not oval. Ovals are not a real ovals are not a thing. So they can't be drawn with a pencil and paper in the real world. Ovals are in fact ellipses. Or anamorphic bokeh are not ovals, they are ellipses. And I just like, well, you might be right, but they're called ovals. They are ovals. But then I started digging into the whole thing, right? What's the difference between an oval and ellipse? Well, here's the thing. Oval is not an actual scientific term. An oval, it comes from the root word ovum, which means egg. So it is an egg-shaped shape. And if you look at Merriam-Webster's definition of oval, it says something that is egg-shaped or elliptical. So this asshole complains that I'm using the word oval. I should be using the word ellipse. But oval means elliptical. Oh my God. And then he came back, well, he's being kind of snarky. And I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Oh my God. Oval for anamorphic. Yeah. Yeah, I ended up banning him because it's like, you can't be that stupid. You just can't be that stupid. Just can't. All right. Anyhow, I have a theory. So I've been kind of active on Reddit and trying to answer questions and get some ideas for things to talk about. I want to approach this because I see this as a common thing. I don't think the 180 degree shutter rule applies for high frame rate. I'm trying to win an argument against the internet. Yeah, I think what it is I get offended when you try to out-nerd me. It's like, if you want to out-nerd me, you better bring your fucking sharpest nerd knife, or else you're going down. Do not try to out-nerd me. Like, if you were trying to out-nerd me, you better be damn right, or else I'm going to rip you down. Anyhow. I don't think the 180 degree rule applies for shooting anything high frame rate. And I know he's talking about shooting high frame rate. People are going to shoot high frame rate. They're going to shoot high frame rate. I just don't think it applies when you shoot high frame rate. I think if you're shooting 60 frames a second, whether you're a stickler and you record at 120 shutter, or whether you use 160 the shutter, doesn't in the end matter that much. I don't think 160 frames a second at 120 is what's natural looking motion blur. I don't think that exists when you have high frame rate. There you go. That's what I mean. When you come at the king, you best not miss. When you come at the nerd, you better be properly nerding right, or else I'm not gonna get you. But the reason why, my argument I want to make about why the 180 degree shutter rule doesn't apply to high frame rate is because our eyes don't necessarily see better when we see high frame rate. Because my video, I talked about what the frame rate of the human eye. I talk about how we essentially sum up in our eyes 1/10 of a second. Like 1/100th of a second is how long we our eyes kind of gather information for. So when you wiggle your mouse on the screen, you will see multiple mouse cursors because your eye will spot them in different places at the same time. That's how the eye works. So when you're doing 24 frames a second, 24 frames a second is about 43 milliseconds per frame. That is about 2.5-3 frames per 100 milliseconds. So it's 2.5 or so. So you should see 2.5 frames. You can see each frame, but if you do 60 frames a second, that's closer to 5 or 6 frames a second in that 100 millisecond thing. So you don't see the individual frame as clearly. So the difference between like 120 shutter speed versus a 60 shutter speed when you're shooting 60 frames a second is going to be very minimal, because like I said, you're still seeing 100 milliseconds at a time. So that's kind of the argument I want to make. I don't know. Have any of you guys thought about that? Because I think what happens is I see on Reddit a lot of people, and Reddit can be kind of annoying it's like the questions being asked on Reddit can be kind of annoying. Any kind of tech support kind of thing gets kind of annoying if you don't know, take things in stride, right? But a lot of people get hung up on the 180 degree rule, especially when you get to the higher frame rates, and I don't think you need to, especially when you're in a high frame. I think 180 degree rule only applies when you're in a low frame rate, like a 24. I think that's when it matters. I think it matters in 30 kind of, but I think in the high frame rate doesn't matter. Benjamin Dover says, I wondered about that shutter angle at high frame rate too. Yeah. I think it will work if you're doing a high frame rate conversion to slow-mo. Like if you're shooting at 120 frames a second and you want to slow it down to 24. But then again, I would argue, do you need to shoot 120 frames a second at 240 to get your slow motion at 24? I don't think so necessarily. I mean, that might be a finer point in that. Do you want? But if you're slowing something down, the motion's not going to be very fast. So it's okay to have slower, it's okay to have a longer shutter speed as long as there's not a lot of motion. But and it's going to be slow motion, so it's going to have a little bit of that off feel anyway. You like to see his demonstration. That's something I could probably do. Like it would be a 60 frame a second video, and I'll probably go shoot traffic or something like that. Or I might shoot a controlled experiment where I just shoot like a spinning clock or something, like something that's a spinning checkerboard. And like, can you tell the big difference left and right? This one's at 120 shutter speed. This is at 60 shutter speed. Like, how big a difference is that? And I could show it to you at 30 frames. I could show you a 24 version too. So you could tell that the shutter speed, I think, matters more when you're doing a low. That's probably a good idea. So that could be worth a video. That probably give me like 60,000 views. Anything with frame rate gets me a lot of views. I don't know. I just, once in a while I'm on Reddit and I will see somebody on YouTube or post a YouTube video and it'll make some sort of outrageous claim, like stupidly outrageous claim. And you're like, no, this is stupid. But I think with high frame rate, I think the 180 degree shutter rule doesn't apply as hard. My argument would just be because our eye doesn't see. See, the thing is, everyone always evaluates frame rate by pausing the video and looking at the frame. That's the wrong way to evaluate frame rate. You don't pause the video and look at the blur. Obviously, the blur is going to be more in a lower shutter speed. But you have to watch it in motion. Then you'll know whether it feels right or not. So anyhow, that's my thoughts. So I think what I would lean to probably is like, yeah, it does matter. Like the 180 degree rule probably does still apply slightly, but it's not. It's one of those becomes a way less noticeable. And also too, it depends on how fast something's moving, obviously. So, but I would also argue too, maybe the reason why you're shooting at a high frame rate is because you want something smooth. You want it to look very smooth. you know. And in that case, maybe it would behoove you to shoot with a slower shutter speed. Go 360 shutter speed. Go 160 a second for 60 frames a second. And I think that's probably the recipe for soap opera look, right? Is to do 60th of a shutter for 60 frames a second. That's soap opera. I'm curious, maybe 120th of a second, maybe that won't look as soap opera. I think it still will look soap opera. That's just me. That's my opinion. But we'll see. All right. Anything else want to chat about? Otherwise, I'll probably have to get going and start figuring out how I'm going to deal with dinner. I might take a quick nap because I'm tired. I'm pretty darn tired. What else is happening? Anything else people want to chat about? Give you guys a second here to catch up. Yeah, I'm excited about Civilization 7. I tell you what. All right. Well, it's a pretty quiet crowd. It is a Sunday. It is getting dark. I got to figure out what I'm going to paint next. I'm going to figure that out tomorrow. So. All right. Well, I've been on here for an hour and 43 minutes. My nose itches. My nose always itches when I'm on stream. Just a tendency I have with being on stream. Been fairly consistent here for the last couple hours. As far as the number of folks on here. All right. Well, all right. I'm going to go probably just lay down for a little bit, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do for dinner. Whether I'm cooking or whether I'm going to go out, I don't know. I don't have anything in the fridge that I want to cook. I may just go out. May use I do some work for Sizzlers, so I might use one of my coupons and just go pick out the Sizzler. All right, guys. Well, until next time, I'll probably I want to try to bring back more regular live streams, more hangouts, so you can see more progress, hopefully on my shed, and keep you up to date. And then we'll try to get some videos done. Hopefully by the summertime, we can start cranking out some more videos. All right, guys, we shall see you later. Take care now. See you later. Oh, there you are. Camera. Bye.